Okay, so if you're watching this video, it's because you had a little trouble doing the homework from Monday, March 4th. We're doing textbook page 429, 1 through 19 in your textbook. And I'm going to kind of help you up with a little bit of them. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 talks about the vertex and the minimum and maximum. I think most people understood that. If you are struggling with that, I want you to go back and watch the video that goes along with 9-1 and focus in on the vertex and the minimum and the maximum. Okay, then numbers 4 through 9. It says graph each function. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll do 5 since it's a decimal, and then I'll do one of our fractions, and then I think you should be able to go from there. So let's do number 5. Number 5 is y is equal to 1.5 x squared. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to make a table, and we have our x values. Here's the equation that we're trying to solve. It's just the equation they gave us. And from that we need to find a y value. Okay, but unlike the notes that we took, they didn't give us the values of x. So you need to come up with at least 3. And if you remember in class, I said I'm lazy and I'm going to come up with 0. I'm going to come up with 1, and I'm going to come up with -1. So when I do the problem, I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to say y is equal to 1.5, and instead of x, I'm going to put 1 squared. So y is equal to 1.5, and then 1 times 1 is 1. And when I do 1.5 times 1, I get 1.5 back. So my y is 1.5. Okay, that's that one. Then I'm going to do, and there goes Charlie again, and then I'm going to plug in 0. So y is equal to 1.5 times 0 squared. And I have y is equal to 1.5. 0 times 0 is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. Okay, that's that one. Now the next one. I'm going to plug in a -1. So again, I have my y is equal to 1.5 times -1 squared. And I have y is equal to 1.5, and then -1 times -1 is a +1. And so my y is 1.5. Alright, so there I've got my order pairs. My x is 1, my y is 1.5. My x is 0, my y is 0. My x is -1, my y is 1.5. Okay, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to graph it. So I've got my points here, and I'm going to go over 1 and up 1.5. There's 1, and 1.5 is 1.5 right here. And then I'm going to go 0, 0, which is right here. Oh, maybe I should change my color. So I'm going to go over 1 and then up 1.5 right here with red. And then 0, 0 is right there. Oh, I pushed too hard on this pin. Right here. And then I'm going to go over 1 and up 1.5. And so I made a parabola. You're just going to connect the dots. And 3 spaces is good enough for this. And I've got my graph of my parabola. Okay. Then let's do one more. From this, let's go ahead and do a fraction, because I know the fractions, you don't like them too well. So let's do number 8. Let's do number 8. So I have 8. And 8 is y is equal to -1/3. So y is equal to -1/3 x squared. So same idea, we're going to get our x, and then we've got to find out what our y is. And one more time, I'm going to choose 0, 1, and -1. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got my problem, -1/3 x squared. So I plug in y is equal to -1/3, and if I do 1 squared, I get 1. So -1/3 times 1 is -1/3. Side -1/3. There's my first problem. Then I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to take y, and I'm going to say it's -1/3 and times 0 squared, which is just 0. 0 times -1/3 is 0. So that's my second one. And now I'm going to erase this because I ran out of space. I'm going to put my -1 down a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put my -1. So y is equal to -1/3, and we have -1 squared. -1 times -1 is a +1, and I still have -1/3, and times 1, I get -1/3. Okay, so now I've got my ordered pairs. The first one is 1, -1/3. The second one is 0, 0. And the third one is -1 and -1/3. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and do my graph. And I'll change my color. So my first one is 1. And here's a +1. Here's a -1. There's a -1. There's a +1. Well, it's -1/3, so I kind of break this into thirds. So about a third is right here. That's good enough, right? So it's going to be over 1, -1. So it's right there. And then I'm going to go over -1 and down -1/3, which is right there. Oh. And then I've got my ordered pair. So here's my parabola. And it's just a fraction. Now, if you don't like to deal with the fractions, you can get rid of them. And I'm going to show you how to get rid of them. You can do choosing different numbers. So I have -1/3 x squared. We can always choose 0, because 0 is going to give you, your y is going to be 0, because anything times 0 is 0. So I'm going to keep that 0. But now, how about if I choose a 3? What if I do a +3 and a -3? And I'm going to move down a little bit. +3 and -3. So now I've got y is equal to -1/3, and then I have 3 squared. Well, what's 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is 9. And then I have 1/3 times 9. Well, we can always cross cancel. And we can cross cancel and make this a 3. So then -1 times 3 is -3. And then we can do the same thing with the -3. So down here, so y is equal to -1/3. And if I put a -3 in here and I square it, I also get a 9. So I have a -1/3 times, and if I make it a fraction, I can cross cancel. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 3. 3 times -1 is -3. And so then I have ordered pairs of 3, -3, 0, 0, and -3, -3. And when I graph it, I've got 0, 0. That's my origin right here. Then I'm going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down -3. So right here, and then over here 1, 2, 3, and down -3. I create the same parabola, the same shape. It's just that I used 3 instead of that. So you can choose any numbers you want, but 1, -1, and +1 will work every time. Okay, so that will take you 1 through 9. Now, in class I didn't really go over widest to narrowest, but if you look at the book, if you look on page 428, there's examples. It says comparing widths of parabolas, and it looks like the smaller the number, the wider the graph when it has to do with absolute value. So on number 10, when you look at number 10, we have these numbers. We have 3x squared, and then we have 1/2, so y is 1/2 x squared, and then you have y and 4x squared. So if you look at the absolute value is always positive. You look at the smaller the number. Which one's the smallest the number? Well, the 1/2 is smallest, so that's our widest parabola. The next one would be 3x squared, and the next one is 4x squared. So the smaller the number, absolute value, the wider the graph. So that is your answer for number 10. So just write those down. All right, then if I turn the page to 430, I'm going to do the same thing with 14 through 19. I'm going to create some tables. So let's see which one might be a little bit harder that you don't like. Let's do 16. It's a fraction. So let's do 16, and we're going to create our table. I'll change the color so you know I'm starting a new problem. So we have y is equal to 1/2 x squared, 1/2 x squared plus 4. Okay, so we're going to make our table. We're going to choose values of x and y. So here's our equation we're working with. Okay, again, you can choose 0, 1, and -1. But because it's a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and choose 2 and -2. Why? Because I'll be able to cross cancel. So let's do 0. 0 is easy, right? 1/2 times 0 squared plus 4. I have 0 plus 4. My y is 4. Okay, now let's do 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it down this way. I'll just do it in the order that I'm saying them. Oh, sorry, let me get rid of that. Okay, if I do 2 down here, so I have y is equal to 1/2, and then I take 2 and I square it, plus 4. So 1/2 times 2 times 2 is 4, and I'm going to make that a fraction. Now can we cross cancel? Make that a 2. What's 2 plus 4? 6. So that is my, so I have order pairs. Let me write them up here. My order pair is 0, 4. That's my first one. Oh, hold on, Charlie. Okay, and then the next order pair that I have here is, there's my cursor now, 2, and I came up to be 6. Let me change the color because the colors are getting mixed up. Now I'm going to do one more, but I'm going to choose -2. So I'm going to choose the opposite of what I have there, so -2. And now I'm just going to plug it in just like I did. And what do you expect to find? You should expect to find a a positive 6. Because negative times a negative is a positive, 2 times 2 is 4. We'll make that over 1, and we're multiplying, so we can cross cancel these, and we got 2. And then it was a plus 4, which is 6. So now I have another order pair of negative 2 comma 6. Now take your graph and graph your points. So 0, 0, right in the middle. That's your, and then you're going to go over 2, and then up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So somewhere about right there. And then you're going to go over negative 2 and up 6. So we have our parabola. Make your arrows, because they go on forever, the lines. Alright, hopefully that helped you. Like I said, if you're watching it, it's because you were stuck. I know the notes were pretty extensive today, so try it. Let me know if you need help.